Thanks for the support as a channel member, Jack Edinburgh. No, absolutely. I realise it's pretty convenient that the episode where we started our 8-game run without a win is also the episode where the microphone didn't work and I'm now not able to release that video. I get that. But, you know, you're the one who set me up in this new office. Yes, it looks pretty. Yes, I like it. But maybe what you should have done as part of setting it up is tested the equipment still works. Because then we wouldn't be missing an episode like we are and having this weird time jump to the end of the season with no explanation for the bad form that we won't address at all and we'll just pretend it didn't happen. Okay, I'll explain it at the start of the video. Hello and welcome to part 14 of the Greek Odyssey and welcome to the future. As mentioned in the little intro there, we have had quite a jump forward in time. It's only like an 8-game jump. As you can see, it was a hideous 8 games. I actually did record a video for the final 2 games of the regular season before the split. We lost both of them, and making it 4 consecutive defeats. But for whatever reason, the audio just didn't work on that video. So I have 20 minutes of me just going and thought it was probably best not to release that. So rather than just showing you some of this meaningless stuff in there or trying to find, I had a rolling save point that I think was before the previous episode, so I could have tried to replicate those results. I just thought, you know what, it doesn't really matter because we lost them. We ended up in the relegation/loser group anyway, so we're not actually losing anything by not seeing that happen and jumping forward to the end of the season. I have spent most of the loser group experimenting, which, as you can see, hasn't gone very well, but we've played a lot of the younger players and we've tried a few different systems, and this system is a 4-2-3-1 with deep defensive midfielders and an attacking midfielder. So I think it suits the players that we've got and certainly the players we're going to have for next season. So you'll see that one in action in a second in the game against Volos. But these are the final 2 games of the season in total. If you have a look at how the main season ended, we ended up 5 points away from the championship group, and by missing out on that, it just ruined us. And we're now down to 4th place in the loser group. We're not going to fall any lower than that because there's only 2 games remaining. We do have the possibility, if we win both of them, to push back up to a 2nd place finish in that group, which I think is what we deserve based on our season as a whole. And also, we probably need to sort something out to make sure that we don't go into next season with no morale. Although, actually, the dressing room atmosphere is still very good at the moment. So, hopefully, it won't be a disaster. We do have some exciting transfer news, though, that I can't remember if these deals were confirmed in the last video that didn't happen or if you've already seen them. But the 2 players we've got in on loan this season are both joining us permanently in the summer. Thanasis Androutsos, he's the reason we're trying an attacking midfielder system because that's his primary position. He can play in central midfield where he's had a good season for us as our only real central midfielder when he's not been injured. But we're going to try him out in his natural position, and also Georgios Giannoutsos is going to be joining us permanently as well from AEK Athens. Again, he's had a solid season. Left back is a position we haven't really had a youngster come through in yet, so it makes sense to have him come through into the team. Speaking of youngsters, we've also had the new youth intake come in. Do they still show on the youth candidates tab? They probably don't, no, because they're fully signed now. But if we just sort them by potential and pick out the younger ones, you can see that the stars, and they're all, the really good ones have already been claimed by the Name in the Game channel members. If you want to get involved in that yourself, the join button is right there, boys and girls. You can get your name in this save. But the stars are Kieran Blavins, who's a 16-year-old Albanian striker. We've also got Kieran Hodgkinson, who's a 16. They're all going to be 16. They're a new youth intake. He's a Greek goalkeeper. Mark Tracy was on the previous one. There was one more good one. I think it was Stuart Chatterton is the other, and yet another in the long run of defensive midfielders. I think what I'm learning, even from just looking at our youth intake, we get a lot of strikers, we get a lot of wingers, we get a lot of defenders, we get the odd attacking midfielder, the odd defensive midfielder. This is our 3rd youth intake now, if you count the players that were auto-generated at the start of the save. We haven't had a natural central midfielder come through yet. There wasn't one at the club when I arrived. It's starting to become clear actual natural central midfielders aren't a thing that exists here in Greece. I'm looking at this and thinking, Dionysis Labrou, have you done a Mick Powell? Where's that current ability come from? He's another defensive midfielder, but he's the second best. He's almost as good as Halilaj. That is very interesting. So with all that being said, that's why we've switched to this tactic, and we're trying to find a way to make it work. In fact, Halilaj is injured, so this seems like a perfect opportunity to get this guy in and have a look at him. What does he want to be? He's another ball winner. We don't really want 2 ball-winning midfielders. That's the thing. Do we have anyone else who can be a good playmaker? And maybe put him... not really. Not really. Right, give me a minute. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with this team, and then we'll get into a game. Right, here we go then. A team is picked. And as you can see, we're now starting with a vertical tiki-taka rather than the gegenpress, because I don't like using the gegenpress unless I'm going to be full on attacking. And I don't think we should be attacking when we're in terrible form. So I don't know that we can do an attacking system with effectively a back 6. It goes against everything I've ever stood for in Football Manager. But we're going with it anyway. And you can see we are going with youth. And this is a very, very young. I mean, if you put Halilaj in for Andriopoulos as the playmaker there, this entire back 7, goalkeeper, back 4, and defensive midfield setup, I think the oldest one would be Giannoutsos at 22. Everyone else... and Del Favro's 22 as well. Everyone else involved is a teenager who came through our own youth system. The youth setup here is real. We just need to get it functioning in the more attacking areas of the pitch. We are playing Luris today ahead of Santa Maria, again in the interest of playing youngsters, but we don't really have any decent youngsters in these positions. It's very much strikers and more defence-minded players that we seem to get through our youth system. So for the time being, we're going to continue to bring in attacking midfielders and attacking options until we start to bring through some of our own. But we're going with Del Favro in goal, a back four of Giannoutsos, Chios, Lawson and Kalapitas, Andriopoulos as a segundo volante, because I've never used one before. I'm interested to see what it does. And he's as good at that as anything other than... I can't play 2 ball-winning midfielders, surely. And then Labru, who making his first start for the club, having done a little bit of a Mick Powell over the course of the last couple of weeks. And then Bumal, Androutsos and Nacho supporting Luris up front. We are playing against Volos, who are rock bottom and already relegated. So I'd like to think this should be a comfortable victory and a little bit of a chance to look at Luris, his captain. He's 19 and he's not even a regular starter. Right, we did win our lap. We've won every game we've played this system in so far, but this is the first time we've played it without Halilaj, so maybe we can't play it without him. Who knows? Luris has been fouled there, and it's a red card inside 5 minutes. Well, that should make things a little bit easier for us. It's gonna make it less helpful as a way of working out if the tactic works, unless we end up losing, in which case that's a big sign that the tactic absolutely doesn't work. But I'm noticing a lot of teams in Greece seem to play this 4-2-3-1 with the defensive midfielders. So maybe it is a thing. Maybe it's the Greek way. Maybe it's what we need to do. Luris is in here. Lovely ball over the top. Luris is in, and it's straight at the goalkeeper. And he probably should have done just a smidgen better with that there. We're back up to 3rd as things stand, that's the equivalent of 10th. Yeah, no, 9th. Because it was the top 6 who went off into the championship group. All right, we have a corner. Bumal to take. Corner. Come in. It's a terrible corner. I haven't got corner instructions set up on this tactic yet, so corners are going to be a little bit hit and miss, and we haven't got the throw-in instructions or anything set up. So I've not actually fiddled with anything in the way of set pieces, which, when we're a team that has relied a little bit on set pieces to get where we are, that's probably unfairly judging this tactic. I might go back to the gegenpress for the last game, because although we're dominating possession, we're not I guess we are playing well, but we're playing well against 10 men who are already relegated, and I'd expect us to do a little bit better. Luris is there though, and that's his 5th goal of the season. It's a nice little finish and a nice little dance to celebrate the nice little finish, and we go 1-0 up there's nobody here. Look at the state of this. You think we have some smaller tendencies, or had some smaller tendencies, especially last year. There is nobody here. There are more players on the pitch than there are in those stands. Why are we getting another replay? Is there a question that this might be offside? Absolutely not offside. Goal is given. Lovely stuff. And that still leaves us 3rd. So Xanthi are presumably winning. Yeah, they're winning. Not that it matters. I mean, as long as you don't finish in the bottom 2, nothing in this relegation group really matters. They're a man down. Don't let your performance levels drop. I've stressed out one of the young centre-backs. I think I've stressed out Ryan Lawson. I'm putting a lot of pressure on him. I think he's one of the best centre-backs in this division, which is quite impressive considering he's still only 17. Nacho is in, and we know Nacho's shooting is a little bit ropey. Look at the state. There's less than 600 people here. Less than 100 have come from us. They're all up in the top tier again. It's like playing back in that lower division again. I think Volos have just kind of given up, and they've got Super League 2 attendances because they're already relegated. They've been terrible this year. 9 points all year is shocking. See, this is why I don't like the preset corner instructions, because we've got a centre-back there who for that corner was hovering on the edge of the area. Have the people who's, I don't, are they generated in game, or are they set up as part of the random tactic? Not the random tactics, the preset tactics. But it makes me wonder if those people have ever seen a corner. If you're going to send a centre-back forward, why would you stick him on the edge of the area? It's madness. Right, Giannoutsos plays it back to Andriopoulos. Cross comes over, looking for Nacho, who heads from just inside the area. That's a lovely looping header. A 13th goal of the season for him. And for a player who I've criticised quite a lot for his finishing this season, I think he's in with a good shout of finishing as our top scorer. And because Boomal's really gone off the boil in the second half of this season. He went away he was away for like a month on international duty. He's come back and he's not been the same player. He is now 31. I wonder if Boomal is maybe starting to hit that early 30s deterioration that attacking players sometimes get. I mean, the easy way to check that's built into the game, Kev. You can go and have a look to see if that's what's happening. We can look at his development, look at his progress. So we're looking at attributes, really. That's a bit. His agility has gone down quite. Yeah, he's starting to deteriorate. He's tailing off. So I wonder maybe he's not going to be a player that's going to be a major part of the team next season. But that's assuming we can find a replacement for him, of course. Right, what have we got on this bench? Should we bring Armanakas on? In fact, I'm going to bring Kiotis on because he's a natural attacking midfielder with 5-star potential that we've never used, really, because we've never played with an attacking midfielder. So let's get him on. He wants to be an attacking midfielder on support, so he can be that. I want him to drop back to... I want him to just be a playmaker. I don't know what a Segundo Volante is, but I'm not overly impressed with it. In fact, if we put him in there and do that, we know he can do that playmaker role, or he has done it before. Not saying he's any good at it, but he's definitely done it. I'm going to drop a little bit of praise. I know we're only 2-0 up against 10 men who are bottom of the league and are rubbish, but we've been in really poor form for quite a long while. So to be 2-0 up in any game, I think we just need to... I need to ease the boys back into some kind of form. What I don't like about this setup is how negatively the fullbacks are playing. You know I like a big attacking wing back. So... I don't know. What do we think about this vertical tiki-taka system? Could we do this shape with a gegenpress even? I don't know how likely that is. I guess neither of them should work with no midfield, but it's Kiotis. Lovely finish from him. Yeah, there you go. He's giving it the ears because he's not had a game in 2 years and he's quite good. Boomal now. Boomal's involved. Plays it back to Zizopoulos, he won't be here next year. We're getting rid of the 2 old men at the back because we've got our 2 awesome youngsters. I don't think we need to keep the old men around. So Pavazoglu and Zizopoulos will both be moving on. If anyone will take them, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if their contracts are up. I'll have to check. But definitely the 2 young lads who we've had at the back today, that's going to be our centre-back partnership next season. As long as Ryan Lawson doesn't leave. There's his first goal of his career. And I am a little bit worried that clubs are going to be sniffing around for him this summer because he has had such a good season. He's getting better all the time. And I think if I was a decent-sized Greek or Portuguese club, because of course he's Portuguese, if I was a decent-sized Greek or Portuguese club, I would be looking to get a hold of him before his value gets too much higher than it already is. A value of 24,000 at the moment. I know I've got a £5.5 million release clause on him, which... with 2 years left on his contract, certainly for the next 12 months, no, he ain't leaving for less than that. But I'd certainly be asking the question for £500,000, £1 million, just because they'll know that we could probably use £1 million, and the board might overrule me. Mrs Wearmouth might say, it's all well and good, Kev, you saying you're not going to take less than £5.5 million, but if we get £1 million offer for a 17-year-old, he's off. Right, let's play our last game of the season. Right then, final day of the season. I have made one change because I've just remembered I do actually have a central midfielder at the club, Manolis Petralis, who's played most of the season. 21 games for us this season, nothing spectacular, largely playing in central midfield, but he can slot into that ball-winning, defensive midfielder. They all want to be ball-winning midfielders. Why does every Greek defensive midfielder want to be a ball-winning midfielder? Why do we have to get an Albanian to have someone who can be a deep-line playmaker? Which, by the way, I was just looking at Halilaj. He can't play in central midfield. He's awkward in central midfield. He's only a competent centre-back. How is it that that's the only role he can play? He's been training to play central midfield for 2 years. It obviously isn't going to happen, is it? Ridiculous. His arrows are all pointing up, though. But Petralis comes in alongside Andriopoulos with Labru dropping back. Labru? I don't know how we say his name. He drops back down to the bench as I decide how to utilise him. I think probably he's long-term going to be the one alongside Halilaj, but we've got Andriopoulos, who we're paying a lot of money to, who's got a year left on his contract. And when we signed him in the summer, he came in as one of our best players. He's been one of our best players this season, largely playing out of position in central midfield. So it seems a little bit unfair just to drop him like a stone when he's been so good for us. But we've got Labru, who is going to be even better, and to have our 2 homegrown defensive midfielders sat there, it's going to be like back at home with the days of Phillips and Morris sat together at the base of the midfield, because we had the same weird, maybe it's not a Greek thing, maybe it's a Football Manager youth intake thing. Let me know the last time you got a good natural central midfielder through a youth intake. Or is that just not a thing that happens? They only magically come through at other clubs, or they all come through as either a defensive midfielder or an attacking midfielder, and then the onus is on the club who brings them through to teach them to play central midfield. It could be that, and I'm just not developing youth properly. Which, can you imagine me not developing youth properly? Absolute madness. I don't know. It just seems so weird that we've not had one in 3 youth intakes. Why would that be if it wasn't a thing? Del Favreau's done absolutely terribly there. I mean, he does everything right positionally, and then just doesn't. If he gets to put his hands in the air, he's a goalkeeper. Put your hands up, man. Don't put them out like that afterwards. Put them up in the air. Ridiculous. Pushes us down to 4th. Like, I mean, I'm acting like it matters. We know it really doesn't matter. Other than for momentum going into next season. We don't want to... We started this season as a team that believed we could beat anybody, and because of that, we nearly got in the championship group. We're ending this season as a team that has lost 5 of our 7 games against the bottom half teams in this loser group. And if we carry that kind of form into next season, imagine how useless we'll be against the better teams, and then imagine how useless... We'll get relegated next year if this is what we do. I am wondering if maybe we do better. We might have to do an analysis. Do we do better against the bigger teams? Maybe we struggle against teams that set up defensively against us. And the reason we do quite well against the bigger teams, particularly Panathinaikos, who we keep beating, maybe it's because they just come and attack us and we just pick them off with counter-attacks. Maybe we're actually better against better teams, in which case we won't worry too much. Luris has been terrible. I haven't got Santa Maria on the bench today, which is a little bit of an oversight, but Athanasiadis can come on and play in there, and we'll also bring on Armanakas, who can come on and play on that left-hand side. We're going to go attacking now, and we're going to ask for some passion. We're going to try and get back into this game. You know I like an attacking vertical tiki-taka from non-league to legend this year. Right, Nacho, but I also love a gegenpress, as you'll be seeing 4 nights a week over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/LOLLUJO. Learn to say the Twitch, Kev. That's where I'm managing home. That team, what we managed on YouTube last year when we all discovered what doing a Mick Powell was. I'm managing them. It's awesome. Come and watch me do it on Twitch. I'll be doing it tonight. Seamless. No one even noticed you were doing that, Kev. Absolutely spot on. Right, Petralis to Armanakas. I'd like an equaliser here. I need an equaliser to make up for that horrific Twitch promo that I absolutely messed up but can't re-record because I decided to do it in the middle of a live com. So there's no do-overs when you commentate on a match. And there is Ryan Lawson. In fact, Nacho's touched it over the line. I'm surprised he's not been given as offside. Lawson setting himself up for his 2nd goal in the episode, but in actual fact, Nacho is the one who applies the finish, and we do get the equaliser. In fact, Lawson was heading it well wide. Nacho does well. They had a player on the far post, which always a bit of a mistake to have one on just the one post, because they had a player marking the far post, and we put it in at the near post where there was no player. Their fault. Right, we're keeping attacking on. We're going to try and grab a winner here. Andriopoulos. What did he do there? He just stopped. Are we looking for a penalty? Are we looking for a red card? It's a penalty review. Nobody was near the penalty area. What are we... What? I mean, they've only had one shot. Have we been given a penalty? I have absolutely no idea why we've been given a penalty. Is he going to send this guy off as well? What happened off the ball? No, not even booking him, but he has given a penalty. After the penalty's taken, we'll go back and try and work out what it was given for. But it's Klaus stepping up to take it, and he scores. Right, so from this move... Why is this all the way over here? Has that been there the whole time? Giannoutzos. Something must be happening in here. I'm watching for anything happening in the penalty area. Oh, there. Right, hold on. Now we know where it was. Let's go back a bit. This is the weirdest penalty decision ever. 'Cause for a start, he's not even in the area. And I don't know why it's happened. But yeah, it was definitely a foul. And if the ref thinks that was in the area... Penalty. I can get on board with that. And why are we not... We don't need to see a replay of that. And we have won our final day of the season in the weirdest way ever. But it does mean we've finished the season with 3 straight wins, which puts us back up to second in the loser group. Lovely stuff. Season is over. Transfer window to come. Do we have budgets? No. And we're probably not going to get any. And we've probably already signed the 2 players we're going to be able to sign this summer. In the shape of Giannoutzos and Andriopoulos, players with contracts expiring that we're going to have to make decisions about is, I mean, all of this lot. So not many that are in the team. Petralis is probably the one who actually plays regularly. Other than that, it's a lot of old men and fringe players that are going to be leaving. But it doesn't seem to be reflected in the committed spending yet, unless the players we're bringing in are earning even more than the players who are leaving, which... in which case there'll be very little business done on this transfer special. We'll see. We'll work it out when it happens. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.